Hello everybody, welcome to Indigo Tarot Odyssey. Today's read is going to be a past life read. Where did you spend one or more of your past lives? If I have time, I'll pull a secondary where card, but I just wanted to start by offering you all a happy new moon. And today there's going to be a solar eclipse. I believe it can't be seen unless you're on I think it's the northeast coast of South America, something of that. So it's very difficult to be able to see, but once again, these astrological events and alignments definitely do affect us, and this particular new moon with this is wonderful for a reemergence of what we really want to focus on and where we really want to charter our life path to have it become peaceful, what really matters, which is how we treat people and ourselves and the core issues of our lives, and getting in alignment with our highest frequency and power so we can sort of move through our lives with ease and peace and love. I had to teach myself over and over how to accomplish this every day. I really do. I restructure my day through lovely affirmations in the morning. You know, I say I'm clearly guided by my divine guardians and I am protected always. One thing we do need to do is guard our energy and really visualize positive outcomes with this new moon. There's lots of rituals. If you guys would like to come see me on Instagram, I am Sparkrist11. I will be posting rituals and things you can do and how to cleanse your stones and jewelry and things like that, how to set intentions. I'll be working on that today for you. And I'm really excited because I feel like once we remove fear and personal doubt, it makes room for love, confidence, and motivation to reclaim our real personal power. Okay, you guys? So let that be part of your mantra for this new moon. July is powerful. It's awesome. And speaking of that, I know she told me not to, but I'm definitely going to promote Lisa Blair's new candle. Look at this candle she sent me. How ridiculous is this? This is her Archangel Michael candle, and she puts all Swarovski crystals around it. It's so beautiful. This one is vanilla and smells like heaven. Please go see her. I will. It's Lunar Candle Creations, and I will put a link because I've got to tell you, there's nothing that smells nicer and makes me happier than with one of my rituals. And I'm going to use this tonight in one of my rituals, and I'll film it on Instagram. So come see me over there. Okay, we're going to start with number one and see what your choices are. I also put some stones and earrings down there because I couldn't find the choice I wanted, but I had a bunch of earrings with beautiful stones around me, and I love kyanite too. So I just made all these, and they'll be in my shop as well. So number one is Bridget, and these are kyanite. If you like that stone, kyanite along with citrine are the only stones that carry no negative energy and dissipate all the negative energy and stones that surround it. Kyanite, really powerful for that. I made it into earrings because it falls right over my throat chakra, and I feel really able to speak clearly and wonderfully with that. So number two is the listener, Sacred Silence. And that stone is Aqua Aura Quartz. These look so beautiful on there, like little mini geodes. They look amazing. I love those. And then we're on to Fernia, which is Clarity. And these are jade with silver elephants. I'm so into jade right now. I've been producing blue jade pieces and things like that. I feel like jade is very protective and very lucky. So I love it. So I'm very excited for you guys to find out some of your past lives. So let's begin with Bridget. And I have some corresponding cards is there too. I have this lovely deck, and I will have a list of the decks later under comments of what I used because I'm using several different decks. Whoa, so we have Svalbard, so Norway. So I definitely feel this is in, the time of the Vikings and the raids, but I'm getting a very clear picture of something that you did there. And there's a couple different aspects. Because it's for a collective, I'm going to have probably several vocations of employment. But this, I'm definitely feel one of you were the caretakers for the herd of horses that they used in raids. You would have them, you would care for them on the Viking ships when they were being deployed. You would care for them and shoe them and house them and make sure they were well fed in any of their abodes in the village. Also, I feel like you took care of a lot of the livestock. If something was wrong, you had a really good veterinarian understanding of animals back then. You knew what pestilence would sort of get in their intestines. I'm seeing all these things. You knew how to test urine and stuff. You were way ahead of the medical curve when it came to the medical sciences for animals. And you were very renowned because animals were super important. The livestock was part of what kept, this Nordic race alive. And this was definitely, I'm feeling, the time of the Saxon raids, and there was lots of travel and animals had to be packed up quickly and slaughtered. And that's a thing, if your livestock is not fresh and healthy, there can be a pestilence and disease, like hoof and mouth, things of that nature. So you were really highly regarded, protecting the village from illness because you really cared for the animals. A secondary one, I'm definitely seeing that you're a boat crafter, kind of like Loki in that mini-series. You definitely had amazing skill set when it came to the boats and to how to streamline them, make them faster, make them stronger, because they really had to put up with a punishment at sea, and it was something else. So let's get a little bit of your personality and what you did. Yeah, new beginnings. I actually feel that you were in some of the settlement processes when they went over. They actually started some farming communities over in England when they did some raids, in terms of not slaughtering the locals and taking pretty much all the silver that was available. They were offered settlements over there. So I feel like you were an important part, an integral part of moving animals over there, and the oxen and the things that were necessary for the farming. Yeah, big animals. And again, to prepare the boats, because there were big fleets that were sent over, and to discover further up the coastline, because the raids continued on for a long time, and there was actually a bunch of dissent. And then when the English decided to fight back, they actually slaughtered some of the villagers, and all these things happened. So there was recurring war when you guys would return and try to reclaim some of this land, and peace settlements were done. But you were definitely, some of you were building the boats for this and maintaining them, and some of you were the caretakers for the animals and the livestock. Now, balance, I love this. This is, again, this is for the boat builders and the people that were dealing with the architecture of the homes and stuff, to make sure everything was safe, because the land over in the new areas that you conquered were much more fertile. That was part of the reason that you wanted to raid, because Norway could be very inhospitable most of the year due to how cold it was. So you would try to instill, balance in the tribesmen, because the Nordic idea was basically just kill everything around and take their stuff. I mean, that's what it was. They were raiders and they were fighters, and they were quite brutal at times. But you were somebody who was, you were kind of getting aligned with understanding the Christ religion that was happening over in Catholicism, that was developing over in the English countries. And you were trying to strike a balance of, listen, we don't have to kill everyone and everything. We can talk to people. And you were also the ringmaster of scrutiny. So you, again, you had a clear vision that in order to integrate certain tribes and areas and members, that it wasn't all about warfare, taking and stealing, because then you had to defend those areas, because people would fight for them back. But if you negotiated and went about it in a fair way, that you could actually hold the land, and then you could trade goods and services. So you were very structured. Yeah, see, you have the Hera Alliance card. You were very big. This group too, you had just you were a jack of all trades. I mean, not only could you care for animals and do all the things, you were a master negotiator. You understood that you had to form alliances with tribes, people in other countries around you, so you weren't attacked on all fronts. Especially the Norwegian way back then, there were earls, and then, there were kings and queens. But what would happen is, when certain tribes would go to raid and do things, then their village, especially if it was paramount for docking of boats, or it was a rich fishing village, it would be raided, and the local earls would try to become kings of that. So you knew, in order to save the property in areas that you were leaving to go forage ahead, that you had to form alliances with other earls and kings, as well as the new nations that you were going into. You were very, very diplomatic about this. So beautiful energy, group one. I love that for you. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press like and subscribe, and all my links are down below. My private reads, come over to Instagram and see what's going on over there. I do daily posts. I'm very excited. I feel like a lot of this, because some of the big civilizations, Norway, Egypt, these things come up a lot. I get a lot of Australia hits with that. It's like, it's very, and I have very, very striking affiliations with Norway. My family is Norwegian on my father's side, and I definitely, if I watch anything with that, it's weird how I'm so pulled to the symbols as well as Celtic lore, anything about that. So I have a huge connection with that as well. So now we're going to go on to the listener and silence. Okay. Oh, so yeah, look at this Delphi. Very nice. Yeah, I felt right away. I kept hearing offerings and offerings. So I'm just going to meditate on this for one moment and see sort of what comes into my mind, guys. Okay, so first of all, in terms of location, because a lot of people are like, where is Delphi? Now this is if you go in Greece, you go Macedonia and down there, Mount Olympus, Larissa, Greece. Delphi is at the bottom of that, above Thebes. Okay, so as you're moving up the boot of Italy, you're looking at Delphi right at the top over there. Okay, so basically it's a port city too, where you could cross that and then you're over into Corinth and Sparta and down through there. Okay, so this is talking about Delphi. So in addition to its role as a religious center, Delphi was a home to one of the four Pan-Hellenic games of ancient Greece. Okay, so they were the Pythian games. They were held in honor of the god Apollo every 4 years, and they were held at Delphi, ancient Olympia, and they were inspiration for today's modern Olympics. So the running track at the stadium are still intact and can be found at the top of one of the archaeological sites. They're really, really cool. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so if you want to go take a look at that, it's amazing. And yeah, I'm it was a really, really important religious area, and it was considered to be the center of the universe. It was where heaven and earth was supposedly met, and the priestess oracle channeled messages from the gods Apollo and dispensed advice there. Now, I feel like that you were a consulting oracle at the Delphi, and it was a major religious experience for ancient Greece. So I definitely feel that you were an oracle. You had that gift of sight. You really did. And I feel like back then there were all kinds of medicinal things that the oracles took to help them connect with that. Yeah, see, you worked at the temple, and you were really a beautifully renowned oracle. And it was a very beautiful, ancient, and spiritual and religious gift. And I felt like you did dispense advice. A lot of people would be wondering about their livestock, about their love life, conception, and you just offered really heartfelt, beautiful not only advice, but you had the gift of seeing, so you knew what was going on. And look, you've got the Mary card too. So miracles. I feel like you also had a healing touch, so people would come and bring you offerings and you would touch them. So if you are a Reiki healer or someone who deals as a light worker, this has traveled with you throughout time. You have had this ability over and over. You have always been in the religious, let's say more spiritual sense of things. You've always had a gifted touch. You've always had a sight of some sort as well. And you actually would channel messages from the god Apollo for people. And you created miracles for people because you were very wise and you understood, like, not just being able, it wasn't always predictive, it was also prescriptive. If people were having, problems conceiving or in their love life, you would listen attentively and come up with really sound advice as well. So you also got the wise woman of Wonderland, integrity and compromise. You knew the inner workings of marriages and that it took compromise. And back then, it was very tough. It wasn't easygoing living, so there was a lot of hardships, and you understood that, and you always spoke with integrity. And you had it was almost like you were a couple counselor. And because of your gifted touch as well, you were thought to be somebody that could bestow fertility on women. So a lot of women would come to you in that regard as well. I really love that. Oh, beautiful energy. Okay, you also, wow, yeah, you got the meditation. I feel like you spent, quite a few waking hours in meditation and connecting with your gods and really trying to ground and find, beautiful resources for people that you could help, because that was your gift. You were a helper and a healer on a very exalted level. So beautiful energy group too. I love that past life. I love it. And I feel like you've traversed time with that, and you definitely now are removing fear and personal doubt, so you can just have love and confidence in what you're supposed to do. Really get out there and shine your light on the world. Let your soul shine. I feel like you're very, very healing, and you know that anything is possible when you set your mindset accordingly. You know, your mind is always open and learning new things. You're a level thinker. I feel like, you know, you're going to have a blast of powerful energy coming through July that's kind of realigns you with this. You're going to filter out all the garbage and radiate this beautiful healing energy that you have. So gorgeous. All my links are down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. If you need a private read, come see me on Instagram at sparkrist11. My Etsy store's here for all my jewelry and my gems and everything. So again, yeah, get out there and really let that light shine, because you have that ability and you are a healer and you are a light worker. Amazing energy. So now we're on to Fernia. Yay. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so one of your past lives, I could feel Egypt coming in. It's funny how it often does. Now, here is something that's really interesting that I'm hearing right away. This temple of Isis at Aswan, it was, I feel that you were, again, you were another spiritual worker, someone who worked in here's the interesting thing that I always picture in these temples, and I don't know the exact happenings in it, but it's like I feel that everybody had to really be cleansed and, you know, have a really clean lifestyle. I hear everything being white and like light blue, and I feel like you were a temple worker and you would bring the offerings in. And also there was a section of this where those beautiful jars, you know, that the organs of the pharaohs and the wealthy people were put in. I feel there was a section of this that was close by where people made these, and I feel like you were part of that, and you were part of the organizational process, almost like you were the governor of this particular area, so you could get everything in order. Because of course, you know, it's like everything has to be managed, and these places are sacred, and if they're not run according to Pharaoh's wish or whatever, there would be a lot of problems. Yeah, look, and you got Orpheus faith. This temple is all about, you know, gods were everything in the day. These Egyptian gods and were so to be revered, and there were constant beautiful artworks produced for them. I feel like a lot of those were also stored in the temple, and you were responsible for that. It's almost like you were the inventory master, again, like kind of like a governor of all that was there, because it had to be accounted for. Nothing just got lost in this. There were tons of artisans and people that made, and there was a specialized place for everything, you know. And then there'd be hieroglyphic centers, and then almost like I'm seeing like little cavernous areas where the little deities and the gods and the little sculptures and structures were slid in, and everything had its place, and you were in charge of that. And oh yeah, look at this patterns. I feel like there was a kind of like a grid process in there also to help you find out where everything was, and you could know where, okay, oh, if I have to go get this sculpture, or the pharaoh or somebody of, you know, importance wanted to see something and wanted a duplicate of something, you had everything gridded out in patterns, so you knew where to go get it. Like, you were very super organized. I love this too, mercy. I feel like this was a place where people would come and seek mercy and seek peace in their life and seek balance and seek a release, kind of like today's church and mosques and places like this, to have balance in your heart and mind. And Phoenix resurrection, there was a belief, you know, that of course, when pharaohs and everybody was born, when they passed on, they were buried with everything to carry them through to the next life. They were actually buried with their slaves. They were buried with their worldly goods and money and gold and lapis lazuli and clothing and headdresses and immense treasures, because they were thought to rise again, and they needed these material goods to carry on in the next life, and the slaves to help them. So it was a very, very huge procession when these things would happen. So you can imagine the goods and the wealth that would come through places like this, and they would be portioned and allotted to each wealthy member, and you were in charge of that. And that's amazing. And or some of you were the artisans that provided these beautiful jars and statues, and so many were inlaid with gold. These masks, death masks and things, were inlaid with gold, lapis lazuli. Untold wealth lingered there. And again, I feel like it was very well guarded, and because everything was so precious and sacred, people didn't even really dare in those days, because there was such a hierarchy and a respect of the gods and pharaohs back then, that people really didn't want to mess with that. And beautiful that you have the Lilith card as well. It's funny, these cards had disappeared for a while. I think my daughter adopted them and then they returned. Lilith is about independence. You could do so much on your own because you were so highly respected and regarded, and you really knew what was conducive for the temple, and you were sincere and you had a lot of brevity and people didn't really mess with you. You were kind of like your own, like I said, governor. You could facilitate changes and make sure everything was the way. You just were very organized. You had a lot of swish and you were independent of that. So it was like you had a lot of lovely autonomy, which is really neat. Yeah, I love that energy, group 3. So love and light to you. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press like and subscribe, and all my links are down below.